Here we go, back in the saddle, Talkin Buds Football Show. Bryan, I am rocking it, baby, in a playoff position in the NFC. I never gave up on Jordan Love. I've all year, I have had faith in him. I've never once come on this podcast and said he stinks and he can't play. Never come out of my mouth. Nope, I believed in him the entire time. And wouldn't you know it, the Green Bay Packers are sitting in the seventh and final playoff position in the NFC. Very exciting. A super, super impressive performance on Sunday Night Football with a 27-19, pretty convincing win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Like that score is relatively close, but the Packers took control of that game early and they never lost control of it.
No, like the Chiefs have not been looking good, but like I want to focus on the Packers here because Jordan Love is. Did you see the stat where he has like the exact same stat line as Aaron Rodgers to start his career?
He does. 25 of 36, 267 yards, and 3 touchdowns against the Kansas City Chiefs.
I have a question. How do you guys keep doing this? You get Brett Favre, you get Aaron Rodgers. Now you might have a good quarterback again.
I don't think Jordan Love is going to go, when all is said and done, is going to be like generational in the sense that Favre and Rodgers were. I don't see that happening. I've spent a lot of time on this podcast in the last couple of years and also this year ranting and raving about Matt LaFleur and how he needed to get his shit together.
Yes, you have.
He's gotten his shit together. If you were going to say to me, Rob, what is the biggest difference between the Green Bay Packers now and the Green Bay Packers 5-6 weeks ago? It is Jordan Love, but it's predominantly Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur has started calling plays that suit this young offense that make more sense for them. And he's letting Jordan Love just take shots. Like he throws a lot of those catches, those passes that he threw that were caught were contested balls.
Yeah, they were like 50-50 balls, some of them.
Yeah, and they let the young wide receivers go out and make plays. And I think that it's kind of the vibe around the team is very like kind of fuck it. Like that's very much the vibe around this Packers team. And let's just throw caution to the wind and let's make it happen.
And dude, AJ Dillon, he looked decent. Like he was your number one running back and he produced.
Yeah, that's another thing too. They've had their 2 most impressive wins of the season against 2 bona fide playoff teams in the Lions and the Chiefs without Aaron Jones and without their best corner, Jair Alexander.
Yeah, and like Romeo Doubs is stepping up. They have a lot of young guys that are starting to like get into the groove.
Christian Watson is kind of doing the same thing he did last year, where in the latter half of the season he started to come on and make a difference. So I think my main concern with them is everyone is sort of anointing them based on their schedule, and their schedule coming up is pretty soft. They've got the Giants, the Bucks, the Panthers, the Vikings, and the Bears. But I still think it's on Matt LaFleur to keep this team focused and to not get to, because everyone is like high on them right now. Everyone's like, look how good this team played. They're in a playoff position. Oh my God, they've done it again. They've got another quarterback. But everybody just calm down. Keep doing what you're doing. I think they are good enough to make the playoffs. I think it's going to come down to them and the Vikings.
And I would put my money on Green Bay at that point.
Yeah, and the Rams are still sniffing around a bit in that 7th hole. The Seahawks are sniffing around too. So it's not like they've locked this thing up. So Matt LaFleur has sort of figured out calling offense for this young team. His main focus now is trying to keep this team, keep their heads in the right place as they head through the final 4 games of the season, 5 games of the season.
That should be easier without Aaron Rodgers in the room, just to keep everybody on the same track.
Yes. That a lot we're learning is easier with Aaron Rodgers no longer in the room.
Now, I will say, just on Aaron Rodgers, he did defend Zach Wilson, which I have never seen him do that with anybody. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's growing. I don't know.
Oh, that's a whole other. We could do an entire podcast on this New York Jets season and what an unmitigated disaster it has been. Especially, I heard a great point on the radio today about, there are so many teams in the league right now playing with backup quarterbacks, and they're making it work. Like you look at Jake Browning. The Bengals go out with Jake Browning and win a football game against, now Trevor Lawrence left the game, but they're 6-6. They're still hanging around. The Cleveland Browns have cycled through quarterbacks this year, and they're 7-5.
And they've landed with Joe Flacco.
Exactly. And like, look at what the Vikings did with Josh Dobbs. Like, look at all that. And the Jets have just screwed around with Zach Wilson and then Tim Boyle for some reason.
Well, did you hear about their recent move? So they, I'm reading it here. So they waived Tim Boyle and they're signing Rippon.
Oh, wow.
Which, how is that any better?
I don't know. That's we don't need to talk. We're getting towards the time of the season now where we should sort of hone in on playoff teams and the playoff race. And a huge game this past Sunday with playoff implications was the Niners and the Eagles, and the 49ers shit kicked the Philadelphia Eagles. Here's my question for you. With respect to the Eagles, are you looking at this and going, the Eagles are frauds? Or are you looking at this and going, this is a one-off? They've had a really tough schedule. They played a lot of football. You're not going to sell your Eagles stock just yet.
No, not yet. I actually think this is a one-off. They were on a short week. The Niners were on a 10-day rest week. So they had a lot more time to prepare for this game. And you could tell how rested they were. The defense of the Eagles looked like they were super tired. Yeah, and it was really evident, especially the way that Brock Purdy
they were getting gashed.
Debo was he was making them look stupid. So I don't expect to see that defense if they meet in the playoffs, for example. But it was like there's no excusing that kind of loss. That was a shit pumping.
Yeah, it was. And I think the Niners, they had their little 3-game skid earlier on in the season, but I think they confirm what we've always believed, which is when this team is operating at max capacity, they are the best team in football. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's close.
It's not even close. Like, because Brock Purdy, all he's doing is really checking it down. Like, Debo made all of those runs extend to like 80 yards. Yeah. So I wouldn't say, it's just Brock Purdy. Do you think he's MVP? I've been struggling with this. I've been really struggling with that. But I mean, he's going to get a lot of votes.
I'm sorry, Bryan. Like, you look at what you just said.
Yeah, I know.
Like Debo made that play happen.
But I'm just talking about the people that actually vote. I think they're stupid enough to be.
I don't think so. Like, I had somebody send me something today. This MVP thing is getting out of control. Like, not enough people focus on the V in MVP, which is valuable. Which is why people who make arguments like Dak Prescott is another name high in the MVP discussion right now. He's far more valuable to the Cowboys than Brock Purdy is to the Niners. We've seen Kyle Shanahan go to a Super Bowl with Matt Ryan when he was offensive coordinator of the Falcons, and Matt Ryan won the MVP that year. We saw Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo. Yes. Yeah. So I just think no, I'm sorry. Like, that offense with all their weapons, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Brock Purdy, but that offense with all their weapons, I'm sorry. Like, it's not. I had someone send me something today that said, speaking of MVP, Tyreek Hill is about to have a 2,000-yard season, but Brock Purdy is going to win MVP for throwing quick slants and bubble screens to 3 all-pro players and having a good defense.
No, I saw that same thing. That's kind of why it was on my mind, because Tyreek Hill is plus 1,600 to win MVP, which it's just like
insane.
Even Cooper Kupp didn't get it when he got the Triple Crown. So that tells you that a wide receiver is never going to win it,
which is insane. And if there was ever a year for a wide receiver to win it should be this year.
Especially if you break 2,000. Like, if he does break 2,000, they need to give it to him right away.
Yes,
that would be a travesty, man.
100%. One last game to touch on before we move on from Week 13 here. You wanted to touch on the Bengals and the Jags. We brought up Jake Browning earlier. 32 of 37, 354 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Dude, this game was so much fun to watch. It was a great primetime game, back and forth, like tied 14-14 at the half. What a spectacular, especially the way that it turned out with 2 backups at the end. It was just so exciting.
Which is so funny because, yeah, you sat down to watch it. Like, admittedly, like I saw Jake Browning and I sat down. It wasn't one of those games where I sat down to intently watch. It was kind of like, I'll put this on while I'm doing other stuff. And you're right. As the game went on, you became more and more glued to it. Trevor Lawrence goes down and right away you're going, oh my God, another one bites the dust in a season that's filled with injuries. We've since found out that he's got a high ankle sprain, so he's not going to miss the rest of the season.
Yeah, which is great because I love watching them.
Yeah, you just had this moment where you were like, oh my God.
I know. Imagine every playoff team just had their backup out there by the end of the season.
Yeah.
That would actually be must-watch TV. But Jamar Chase, what a game he had too, eh? 149 yards and 11 receptions, only 1 TD, but he was their offense.
Oh, 100%, man. 100%.
Him and Mixon, because Mixon also had a brilliant game.
It goes to show the culture that Cincinnati has fostered in the last few years where Burrow goes down and these other guys, they're big players like Mixon and Jamar Chase step up.
Yeah. Mixon, the one touchdown drive he had, he powered his way through 3 guys into the end zone. He wouldn't go down.
Oh,
I love football plays like that. It just gets me all riled up.
I know, man. I know. It ended up being a really great game. And the Bengals, even with Jake Browning, are still in the mix here in the AFC.
Oh, they are. They have the tiebreak against the Bills. They have a much more favorable schedule than the Bills do too. And Jake Browning's looking pretty competent. So
yep. Well, Bryan, as we look ahead to week 14, I know there's one game that you have your eye on and you have an emotional attachment to, and that's the Steelers and the Patriots.
It's what a Thursday night game. You really got me with that one, Rob.
Oh my God, man. I saw that the other day and I was like, could this be a game that ends 3-0?
And it's going to be a game that's going to have Bailey Zappi versus
Mitch Trubisky.
Sorry, which is basically Jimmy G. But yeah. Mitch Trubisky versus Bailey Zappi.
I understand it's Thursday night, so if you're gonna you don't really flex off Thursday night, but oh my God, that game, just to quickly go back 2 seconds to the Chargers Patriots this past weekend. What could have possibly been the worst football game ever played. And now you've got a contender coming up here on Thursday that could potentially dethrone that as the worst football game ever played.
Because the Steelers always had good defense, but everybody's injured now. TJ Watt looks like he's injured. Raheem Stevenson's injured.
They're just like the Patriots where they're just utterly inept on offense.
Yeah. And their defense is just screw this, man. Even though they allowed 6 points. Oh, no, they allowed 0 points. They scored 6 points.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So, in all seriousness, moving on to the real game I was referring to there.
Yeah.
Bryan, this is such a fascinating Bills-Chiefs matchup. And I'll tell you why. Because these are 2 teams here. Every time these 2 teams get together, it's electric. This has become a rivalry in the last few years. I don't have to tell you that. You know that better than anyone. But the circumstances surrounding this game for both teams, you've got the Buffalo Bills, who are essentially playing for their season here. If they lose and go to 6-7, I know the AFC there's still a few weeks left and the AFC is still pretty open, but that's going to make it, you're just making it harder on yourself. And you've got the Kansas City Chiefs, who are in a situation here where they are not the 1 seed in the AFC, and another loss moves them to 8-5. And for the first time in a while, the AFC will not run through Arrowhead in the playoff picture if they don't get that 1 seed. So they actually have something they're playing for here.
Which is what kind of worries me, because the Bills are reeling. They played really hard against the Eagles and lost the game in OT. The Bills have probably the worst overtime record in the history of the NFL with Josh Allen. I think it's 0-8 or even more than that, probably 0-12. It's just I can't even look at that stat because I want to just puke. But yeah, just the Bills, they have to win this game, but at the same time, at this point in the season, for me, the more games they lose, the better I think it is because we get rid of Sean McDermott. That's kind of the only way. And I know I'm a broken record saying this over and over again, but
well, Bryan, so just to tell you, when they lost that Eagles game, I did one of my favorite things that I do all the time is I went online and I listened to Buffalo sports talk radio after that game. And every phone call is get rid of McDermott, get rid of McDermott. It's over, it's over, it's over. I think you're right. I also think the Bills are potentially catching the Chiefs at the exact wrong time where Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are probably having meetings this week going, we got to get our shit together here. And yeah, I at the end of the day, they're talent deficient at wide receiver. So there's only so much you could do, like if the talent's not there. But I do think you're potentially Josh Allen is going to have to go toe to toe with Mahomes here because Mahomes is going to be like, I'm going to win this game.
he's just gonna hit Travis Kelce the entire game. They're gonna prove that Taylor Swift is not a distraction. Yeah, they have a lot of things to prove this week, and that's what really kind of scares me because I don't want to see the Bills get like destroyed by 30 points.
I don't think they will, Bryan. I think if they lose, it'll be in heartbreaking fashion because that's what they do.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be an overtime again, which is just story of my life.
But if you're the Bills here, like everyone, I hope during the bye week, everyone got together in that facility and kind of looked around that room and said, listen, we're 6-6. It hasn't gone our way. If you look around at the rest of this AFC, all we got to do is get in. Like they can beat any of these teams if they're firing on all cylinders and Allen's playing the way he can.
For sure. But like, listen to their schedule. So the Chiefs coming up.
Oh, yes, I know.
Then they have the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Then the Chargers, which I mean, the Chargers are not great, but sometimes they can explode on offense. And then the Patriots, which is, I'm good with that. Then the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge one.
There's not a lot of wins that I see in that schedule.
So here, let me try and shed some positive light on that. Okay. So you got to go in on Sunday and you got to get the win at Arrowhead. Yes, you're looking at the Cowboys the following weekend, but the Cowboys have a huge game this Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles, which we're going to talk about in a minute, where they're basically like they can tie the Eagles at the top of the NFC East with a W.
Yeah, they can.
So I just think like if you're catching the Cowboys a week after a highly emotional game against their division rival with the division lead on the line. So you hope, and the Cowboys are the Cowboys. Like they're going to have, this is why they're well into a playoff spot, but I personally don't think the Cowboys are Super Bowl contender because they're the Cowboys. They're going to
cowboy
take a sky dump in the middle of the playoffs and that's it, right? Like that's what's going to happen. So you're catching them at the exact right time. The focus has to be, if you're the Bills, like we have to lay it all on the line on Sunday and we got to get out of Arrowhead with this W.
And the focus has to be on the run to start the game. If they come out throwing it every single play, that the Chiefs already know that game plan. They got to run the ball. If I was calling the offense, the first 3 plays of the game, I would do a run play just to shove it down their throat.
Yeah.
And just to let them know, like, we're going to be running the ball today. And, there's not much you could do about it because James Cook has been, when he gets touches, he can just run and run. He takes over the offense. I feel like Sean McDermott has a weird problem with James Cook because he benched him after 1 fumble a few games ago and ended up losing the game for us. So, sorry, I'm back to Sean McDermott hate, but
I think Sean McDermott's just run his course. We've talked about it enough. Like, I think you see, like look at, and you've heard me talk about like offensive coaches and like how, like, look at what Matt LaFleur has done with Jordan Love. Like, it's like, that's a whole other discussion. And when the season's over, we'll have tons of talks about the future of Sean McDermott. But right now, they need to go into Arrowhead and they need to get this W.
And it starts with the run. If they can establish the run, I think they could actually win this game.
We touched on it earlier. Sunday Night Football. The Eagles at the 10-2 Eagles at the 9-3 Cowboys. To me, you said earlier when we talked about last week's game that you're not ready to sell your Eagles stock. I'm with you on that. To me, this game is all about the Dallas Cowboys. You've got a pissed off Eagles team coming into your stadium with like, they're going to be ready. That Eagles team is going to be ready. And if the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and want to be taken seriously as Super Bowl contenders and not have guys like me come on podcasts and basically say that the Cowboys, they're going to fuck this up. They need to win this football game.
I agree, because like the Cowboys are so bipolar when it comes to this stuff. Like they've been dominating recently. They're really feeling themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They put a turkey in the Salvation Army bucket because they knew they're going to dominate the Commanders. That's how cocky they are right now.
Yeah.
For a TD celebration, like how cocky is that?
Yeah.
I don't see them winning this game. I actually think the Eagles are going to destroy them by like 20 points.
And I think that'll bring us back to the conversation about the Cowboys, which is they look great against the Washington Commanders. And they look great against the Seattle Seahawks with Geno Smith. But they don't, when you put them out there, like it, the Dallas Cowboys have had a really great season. Dak Prescott deserves a ton of credit. He's bounced back this year. He's a guy that a lot of us classified as a quote unquote B quarterback, but I think he's played really well. And I've been really impressed with his like leadership and his like intangibles that he's shown this year. You've never questioned Dak's intangibles, but like I give the guy credit. But if the playoffs started tomorrow, or not the playoffs, if we're going into divisional weekend tomorrow and the Cowboys are once again playing the 49ers, no one is taking the Dallas Cowboys.
No, I'm putting the bank on the 49ers.
Exactly. So this game and getting this win. It's like the Bills. They're kind of in the same position as the Bills. It's like you gotta win this game. You have to win this game.
I just don't see how they can. Like this Eagles defense, they're going to come out really, really angry, especially because they let like 42 points on them. And I feel like Dak's just going to go back into interception Dak in this game. Like you watch, I'm going to bet he's going to throw over 2 interceptions.
And Jalen Hurts will be back in Jalen Hurts form.
Yeah, he should be, because he got a bit banged up in that last game, though.
Yeah, he did. Well, they checked him for a concussion, but he ended up coming back into the game. But yeah, you're catching like I made the case with the Bills a few minutes ago that next week you're probably catching the Cowboys at the exact right time. The Cowboys are catching the Eagles at a brutal time this Sunday. This is as pissed off as this team and as awake as this team has been probably all year.
Oh, I agree. I think they actually needed a loss like that just to wake them up, because they were cruising. They were winning tight games, but there wasn't much adversity. Now they really got stomped on.
100%. Well, I mean, we're sitting here teeing up week 14, so that means it's everybody's favorite time of the week. It is time for Bryan's Bets. Bryan, you know how this works. You tell me your favorite of the week, favorite underdog, favorite over, and favorite under, and I tell you if I'm riding with you or if I am chickening out.
All right, I'll start with the favorite. I have the Texans over the Jets at -5.5. I've been really loving watching this Texans team this year. CJ Stroud, in my opinion, could go MVP if he keeps his play up. He's definitely rookie of the year, but definitely MVP caliber.
D'Amico Ryan's coach of the year?
Easily. What he's done with this team, this is supposed to be a rebuilding kind of year, and they're in a good playoff position. So I'm really impressed so far. Tank Dell did get injured, their rookie wide receiver, but even with that, the Jets are such a dumpster fire and they can't score any points on offense.
I'm going to ride with you on this one just because, like, yes, obviously I like the Texans too and find them extremely impressive, but the New York Jets are horrendous. And I don't know how this team scores any points on offense. So
they really don't.
No, I think the Texans run away with this one.
Oh, easily. All right. So my favorite underdog, I'm a bit controversial with this one just because Kenny Pickett's injured. So I'm going to take the Patriots over the Steelers.
Oh,
I don't see Mitch Trubisky coming in there doing anything. The Steelers have just been such a confusing team to me. And the Patriots have been probably the worst team in the league for the last 5 weeks or 6 weeks, scoring 0 points. I could see Zappy just having one of his games like he did last year.
I mean, the Patriots are probably going to win this game. If the Patriots win, they're probably going to win like 6-3. So you're probably right with this pick. I don't know, man. This is like
because +6 is big, but
yeah, and like this offense can't do anything. They got shut out last against the Chargers.
The
God.
Steelers offense have just
Yeah, no, but
been
that's the thing.
so bad.
That's what I said earlier when I said last weekend was probably the worst football game ever played, and this Thursday could potentially dethrone that as the worst football game ever played.
Yeah, I know. Like, I got confused in that conversation. I was thinking the Steelers played last week. That's how bad they are
You know what?
against the Patriots.
I'm gonna ride with you on this one because this is just like I don't see either one of these offenses like taking over and blowing the other one out. So if the Patriots can stay within 6, sure, I'll ride with you on this one.
I think it's easy. Yeah. So 6-3. I think that you're right, Rob. That might be the score.
Yes.
All right. So I'll do my favorite over. I got the Bills and Chiefs. I'm thinking this game is going to go over 47.5 easily. Every time these two teams meet, it's just fireworks, 30 plus on each side. So I know the Chiefs have pretty bad wide receivers, and the Bills have just been like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on offense this year, but they always get up to play each other. Even though the Bills are not doing well, the Chiefs they don't care. This is a rivalry game.
Yep. I'm going to go with you on this one as well. We're 3 for 3 thus far. Sometimes I get nervous taking the overs, but again, the track record of these two teams and the fact that it's going to be two quarterbacks basically going toe to toe, like we talked about earlier, I think it makes for a safer bet to pick the over in this one.
Especially with the Bills defense being so depleted, like there's going to be points on one end at least. So,
yep.
All right, so my favorite under of the week, I'm going with the 49ers Seahawks under 46.5. Two pretty good defenses. Both have very explosive offenses, so this one's kind of on the fence for me, but I'm taking 46.5.
Yeah, I don't think, honestly, if this bet isn't going to hit, I think it's because the Niners just go off. Like that's the only thing that scares me. Like I don't see Geno in the Seahawks offense like when they played on Thanksgiving. Like that similar type situation. So
yeah,
potentially, you know what? This is the one I will chicken out on, just because I see a scenario where the Niners offense just goes off like they did on Thanksgiving.
Because the Seahawks have like a decent defense, but yeah, you're right. Because the 49ers have so much offensive power.
Oh, the 49ers are it's almost not fair. The amount of weapons they have.
They hit you in every direction too. Like if it's not through the air checkdowns, it's McCaffrey just running it down your throat, or it's Kittle making a check down, running it for 60 more yards.
Yep.
It's just not fair.
It is not fair at all. All right, there you have it. Bryan's bets. All right, buddy. I mean, we're getting ready to head into week 14 here. The season is coming to a close. The regular season's coming to a close. It's always bittersweet because, you're sad that the football season is over. However, wild card weekend and followed by divisional weekend are my two favorite weekends of the year.
So I was just going to say the same thing. Like I'm so excited for playoffs.
I always look forward to those two weekends in particular. Like obviously Championship Sunday is good too, but just the way they lay out those two weekends, the wild card and divisional weekend, where it's games on Saturday and games on Sunday, except now one of the wild card games is a Monday night, which I don't love, but
at least it extends football through.
It's true. It's true. Thank you very much for checking us out, everybody. If you like what you see, hit that like and subscribe button below. Spread the word. Tell your friends. We really appreciate it. We will catch you guys after week 14.